Particularly with this movement, is that it's very angular. And the angular nature of it doesn't always lend itself really well to kind of musical ideas. And so when I think of musicality, especially in a piece like this, that it's not just really obvious where the melodic line is, I really try to think first on a macro level, okay? And kind of what I mean by that is that if I'm thinking about this first phrase, okay, then I'm going to think, what is if I strip away all of the notes that are not the actual kind of foundation notes, what's it going to sound like? And it might be something like this. Okay, so what I'm doing is I want to take just those notes and I want to make those into the phrase that I want them to be. And I think I can maybe, let's pick them out about what we want. So I'm thinking of maybe like the G and the C, and the D and the G. Bum, 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 B, bum, B. And then maybe this D, E, bum, B, D, and then all three of those. Okay? So I'm just going to play those. Okay, and that's where I want my phrase to be. So I want to phrase it that way. Now, then I want to put that around it. And when I put the things around it, I'm still thinking of those notes as my main emphasis. Okay, so let's try that. Play just the notes I have circled. It's kind of hard to see a little bit. But let's try it and then play all three of the notes in the 3/4 measure. Okay. Yeah, this is where we're going to take a big breath at the beginning. Bum, bum. Think about breathing all the way throughout your body. And can we think even more about phrasing that bum, bum, bee, bum, bee, bum, bee, dum, bum. Okay. Phrase to the G. Bravo, that was good. Do that one more time. I'll play that much and put all the notes that are there into it. One more time. I'm sorry, I probably messed up. Even a little bit more of that line that we just kind of worked on, so that it has a drive to it. Beep, bum, 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 beep, bada, bum, 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 beep, beep, dum. That I wouldn't go so far as to say accent, but in the realm of accent. I'll try to be as vague as I can about that. Okay, let's try it. That's the right idea. Maybe not quite that much, but that's the right idea. Right, and the way I think about it is, while the accompanist doesn't do that, let's pretend that the accompaniment is just hitting those notes, okay? So that the accompaniment is just kind of accenting those underneath you, and you want to kind of feel that extra weight on them. Let me see if I can do that. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, one more time, same thing. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, now without me. Bravo. Do the same thing again. Keep going this time. 3/4 bar, and what you're doing right now is you're basically keeping it as a 2/4 bar and adding a quarter note rest in there. So it's supposed to sound like you trip a little bit when you come off it. That was great. That was exactly the right idea. One more time, leading up to the B section. 1, 2, 3. Bum, bum.
Hard to sneak a breath there.
Bum, bum, beam. You can cut the half note a little short there. Bum, bum, beam, bum. It's not quite as long as short as you made it that time. Let's do it again, and when we get to that part, I'll play 3/4 notes underneath you. Just a little bitty bit. One more time, same thing. Bravo, that's the right idea. I really like the length of the. But I really like what you're doing with the length of notes on that. It has a real nice melodic flair to it. So, good. Let's go on. After what? So when we're playing piano, and especially in this register, it's kind of tricky. We have this really kind of exciting articulation going on from the beginning, right? This. Right, it's starting from the beginning. Now that when we go down to this section here, this piano as opposed to forte, and it's in a lower register, we don't want to sacrifice the articulation with it. So we want to keep the same intensity. Okay? So that it has that same articulation as before. The excitement, in my opinion, excitement and energy is driven by articulation even more than dynamics. And I think that a lot of times when we think energy, we think volume. That if it's loud, it's exciting, and if it's soft, it's not as exciting. But it can be really intense and can be really exciting even at that volume. So I still have the intensity when I'm soft, and then when it goes to the fortissimo, I just carry it with me. Okay? So let's try it again. Let's just go. So to the B natural here. Bum, beep, bum, beep, bum, beep, bum, bum. Just that much. Yeah, I feel like it's not, we're kind of losing the beginning of it. Can we do it slower and separate the notes? Just like that. Beep. Yeah, now just a little more length behind it. Yeah, and with articulation on a brass instrument, I really think of an explosion of air. That the articulation is going to come from your airstream. And that a lot of times people really think of an articulation coming from the tongue. That we really have to tongue it. And of course, when we're playing piano, we want to tongue lightly, right? Because we don't want to have that kind of sound to it. The tongue is really going to be present. So I think as a result, if we're thinking of our articulation as coming from the tongue, and we have to back it off a piano, it's immediately going to make our articulation less. But if we continue to think of our articulation coming from the airstream, then it doesn't matter if we're using a wider tongue or not. increases, but the articulation is always the same. So let's do it again from here. And this time what I want is don't use your tongue at all. Just use your airstream to articulate. Like that, just your air. And here I had a little bit of fa. And of course you're just using your air. I know your tongue will clean that up. But can we make it as clean as we possibly can, even with the airstream? One more time. That was better. No crescendo in it. Now add the tongue to that as just to kind of clean it up, but not to necessarily interfere with what you just did.
Sorry.
And with the crescendo. Okay, now let's do a tempo. Bumpy, bumpy, bumpy. Now, good. Now let's keep going all the way to the fortissimo. That's the right idea, that even when we're getting to the piano, that there's still a level of energy that's still there because of the articulation, and then it just becomes more exuberant. And you're playing those accents perfect to outline that triplet feel within the four. So bravo. The rest of it too, it's kind of the same idea. Work on it with the idea of hitting the points first and then fill in the details. Let's go down to 3, which is a new idea. Can you see it okay? It's kind of bent.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Don't watch your D there. Your D's running a little bit high. So what? Note-wise, it's not necessarily tricky, right? I mean, especially compared to what we did before. It's in a comfortable range. There is the turn there, which you're doing great. I just feel like it's boring. It's lacking that sense that we had before. Okay, before we had this real energy coming from it, like we talked about from the articulation. Well, we've taken away the articulation here, so we have to have energy coming from somewhere. What do you think? What do you think we can do about it? How can we make it still have some life to it?
I guess some ups and downs, crescendos, decrescendos.
Yeah. Good. Anything else? Think of?
I mean, I guess I could lean on like dee-dum-la-dum.
I like that. I like that too. I like that suggestion. Yeah, think about the same thing we did before. Think on a macro level of where this phrase is going. And we kind of have this constant kind of throughout, okay? And the way I feel the energy with it, because you know, if we continue that idea on, it's that relationship between the quarter note and the half note, right? So I think we need to put more emphasis on the half note. That what happens inevitably is that those notes tend to just kind of get forgotten. And you can have a lot of movement within it. That if we think about the idea of that note going somewhere as it just sitting there, that it has a motion to it of where it's leading. Like if we think about, well, I'll just play it. I'll stop talking. So I'm really thinking of just the half notes. And if you notice, they're all the same note, right? It's D. So if we just think of that. If that's your macro phrase. Just play that for me. climactic point. It'll be the third one, right?
Yeah.
Now let's put the notes in around it with that idea of that that's our big phrase. Better. Can you make more? Can you make it louder between this D and this D? Because if we think about it in terms of just the half notes. The crescendo that I'm playing is leading all the way to this note, right? So if I'm putting in the notes, and then it comes back down. But you need to think about this eighth note, the third eighth note leading to the fourth note, so all this is under one big crescendo that leads there. Play it one more time, just the half notes, and think about where that crescendo is going.
So where's your climax?
My climax is the move.
Right here.
Actually, it's not even a point. It's the space between the third one and the fourth one. See how much energy is happening after that third half note? And then when we finally get to the G, it's like, right? We finally resolve. Because if we're thinking of this in the key of G, what is the dominant of G? D. And what are we playing? So, do. And it leads right to it. But the energy, the real place of emphasis comes when I'm moving to this fourth one.